Hey, what's up? I'm Nate Chen. Just wanted to review a few of the runs that I did at the Gambler the other weekend. I ended up getting third place, which felt really good, especially after a tough year at Formula Drift Pro Spec. Yes, I came in with my Pro Spec car, and it is definitely an advantage. Historically, I've actually almost never had an advantage going to any of these competitions. I've been in my S14 with a 1J, so that's 300 horsepower, which for the past few years has been the complete bottom of the power rankings. Last year I had around 440 in the first Gambler, where I ended up blowing a motor, and then in the next Gambler and the US Drift Shootout I had a motor that was doing 480-ish. So that put me like midfield, but I definitely didn't have the most horsepower, I definitely didn't have the least horsepower. And going into the Gambler, I think I was probably close to the top in terms of power. But that was definitely not the reason why I won most of the battles, as we're about to see. So let's just start off. Top 32, don't have footage from that, but the other driver basically shut off the car after the first turn on his chase run, my lead run. And, it kind of went a little bit too wide in the second run, but it was really the first run that he basically lost the battle. So let's go into the top 16, going against Tyler Foley in his E36 BMW, solid entry. I did a great transition right there. Oh, but he just overshot it, hit the wall with his rear, and then he ended up hitting the other wall with his front. And yeah, that really sucks. After that run, I went and gave him a big hug because, no one wants to go out like that. And that's exactly what I did at Formula Drift, New Jersey. So I knew exactly how he felt. Really sucks. I was hoping he could probably get the car fixed so we could finish our battle, but it was just too much damage to fix in that amount of time. Moving on to the top 8 versus Chris Meyer. So I'd battled Chris Meyer once before in a previous Gambler, and I know even back then I knew the car, his car is set up a little bit more loosely than mine, so I knew to give him some room on the entry. We enter, he does a good job at filling that first outer zone. I give him a ton of angle, then I kind of choke up there a little bit. He does a great job of getting to that second outer zone, but then I get right on his door and I just stay there. Again, we're a good clean run from him on the lead. I kind of fall back for a second and then surge at the very end. So not the cleanest chase run, but decent lead run. All right, my lead, okay, hit the first outer zone. He was right there, but then he chokes up right there, and I just kind of leave him because I get on the gas, and I just kind of walk away from him. It was really that hang up in the transition on the first turn up, and then he just goes off course. So yeah, so a couple things there. Going in the first turn, we were side by side. He did a good job with that. But then transitioning to the second outer zone, he kind of bobbled a little bit, and that bobble was enough that I ended up getting on the gas and then kind of leaving him. And then at the very end, I think he said his car basically lost all the grip. So, he just kind of slid off track, and he went off track. That's a 0. So yeah, at that point, it didn't really matter what the rest of the chase run was because he just didn't finish the run. So that's why I won there. All right, top 4 battle with Steve Misko, another Pro Spec car, another good driver to go against, local New Jersey guy. And on the entry, he did a double e-brake initiation, which definitely threw me off a bit, and I ended up having to catch up. And I did a decent job at that. I even caught up with filling that first part of the second outer zone and the entire outer zone. Really had to just pedal to the metal to try to stay with him, and then by the end I was still pretty close. Actually, for most of the run I was still pretty close, except for that first part on the first turn where I made a mistake because his entry was just a little weird, right? I saw the e-brake, locked the wheels up once, he got on the gas again, he hit the e-brake again, and then I don't think I was planning for that because my runs are usually one e-brake, float to the outer zone, get up back on the gas, and then keep going. So on my lead run, I was like, all right, I just have to throw the best thing that I can, and I do a good job at filling that first outer zone, transition, hit that second outer zone, and get on the gas, really pushing it through there. He does a great job at staying really close with me, but I'm definitely a little bit wider. Oh, nailed that inner clipping point. He kind of missed that inner clipping point, then he hangs back, and then I pull away from him a little bit at the end. So yeah, really close run there. I mean, I think I definitely had the better run in terms of a qualifying score. At least that's my opinion, right? I could be wrong, but I just didn't have enough to overcome that mistake on his weird entry that I messed up on. So that was why I lost that one. I kind of knew it after we pulled off. I was like, yeah, I don't think that was enough. So we go into third place battle with Brian Hopp. He's driving a VQ S13. I am chasing him first. He does a long e-brake pull. Like, I almost slam into him, where he just sat on that e-brake forever. And then it caused him to actually pull out of that first outer zone a little prematurely, but I followed him right there. I got on his door and just kind of stayed there the rest of the run. And yeah, I was like kind of shallowed up a little bit at the end, just trying to slow my car down. And on my lead run, it looks like there's a huge gap. What happened was he missed third gear. So going into the first turn, I mean, it was just, an insurmountable gap. He wasn't able to close it. I know it's really tough when you're going against a car that's much more powerful than yours. Like, I've been there where it's like, if you're not on their door at entry, then the best you're going to be able to do is just to like maintain a distance and not fall any farther behind. So that's how that goes. Yeah, just wanted to kind of run through a few of the runs that I had. Well, all the runs that I had actually at the Town Gambler. Again, I think it's really useful for any competition driver to analyze and try to play back, hey, why did I win? Why did I lose? And I think it's really interesting. So anyway, that's that. It was an all-pro spec podium. Yes, we had an advantage of the cars. No, that's not why I won most of the battles. I think that just other drivers made mistakes, and it happens. Like, that's basically how I won the US Drift Shootout. It's not necessarily about throwing down the best run, but it's more about the best consistent run, right? So that's kind of the key there. Minimal mistakes, you tend to win battles. And especially in Pro-Am, it's literally just don't spin out. And US Drift Street Legal, where I told the competitors, hey, look, you're probably going to win your battles if you don't spin out. And like, that's the key. Easier said than done, though, for sure. I mean, I've definitely spun out before on runs. I definitely have made mistakes that have caused me to lose. So it's pressure. But that's like the fun part about competition. It makes you have to drive at a higher level. And that's what I love doing. Like, practice runs, I can't get my head fully in there like the same way that I can when I'm competing. And that's why I love competing. And that's why hopefully everybody loves competing. Whether you win or lose, it pushes you to drive at another level that you otherwise wouldn't be. So, got Formula Drift coming up in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. Have Holly Ellis Fest. Looking forward to that. And then if the Gambler allows pro spec cars on the Drift Stadium course, then I will be going to those, or at least one of those before the end of the year. I think there's others that conflict with Formula Drift, but we'll try to make it up to another English Town event in my S14 regardless. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something from it, and I'll see you next time.